welcome back to another video. It's your girl Kuku, and I'm here with my good friend May again, and we are back again to talk about one of our favorite, semi-favorite shows that is coming to an end. And this is going to be our part 2 talking about Superstore. If you haven't seen our first video, go back and watch that. We did a video earlier that was talking about our first impressions of the first couple episodes of this season. So this is going to be part 2, our follow-up of all the rest of the episodes of this season up until the episode before the finale. So we are going to talk about how we felt about the season and where things are going and what we're thinking leading up to the finale. And then make sure you come back and check out part 3, where we will talk about our final thoughts after the show has ended, after the finale, how we feel about everything. We'll do a final recap of the entire show, and make sure you come back to check out that video. But for now, we will discuss everything up until the finale, which we have not seen yet. So this season, which was a short season, with it being canceled and everything that has been going on. So it wasn't that many episodes, but how are you feeling? What were you thinking? What episodes did you like or not like? What are your thoughts going into the finale?
It's so funny because I don't feel like even now my thoughts are fully gathered. Like I keep seeing articles about the show ending and bidding farewell to all the characters and kind of seeing a pilot throwback and like where the characters were versus where they are now, and it just made me really nostalgic because as one gets when things are ending that they've been watching for quite some time. So I don't know, I feel like this season started off, like we discussed, it just there was something about it that it was missing some kind of spark. Things weren't really blending well, over the course of the first half. And I think the last stretch of episodes, I think I binge watched the last 7 or so that I missed, and I found myself kind of chuckling a lot more than I did. Like before, there was a period of time where I was just watching it because I wanted to know what happens. But it was more of a chore. And now the last several episodes, it's actually felt like my genuine love for the show is back, because I feel like there was something that came back. I'm not sure really what it was, but it was genuinely funny. There was a lot more character interaction between Garrett and Jonah and Garrett and Dina, and even Glenn. Nothing was too over the top. No one was poking fun of Sandra too much. Mateo and Cheyenne were also they were getting into conflicts, but it was interesting conflict, and then you'd see them back on the same page. So I felt like that spark was really back with the show. So to find out that it was ending so soon kind of just made me sad, because it's finally picking up with its potential again, and now it's just gonna end forever. And it just these characters have come such a long way. But I will say that I was really happy to see that America Ferrera is going to be back as Amy, because I don't feel like the show would have been good if it had ended without her, because I want that closure. I want to see, what's been going on with her, where things are going with her and Jonah. And I even like the fact that they did bring in a love interest for Jonah that was not Kelly, because I was worried about that. And then it was somebody else, and it wasn't super forced. It was kind of very natural and stuff like that. So I'm holding my breath to see how it's gonna end for them.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I was definitely I was pleasantly surprised that they were able to match Jonah with another person, and I didn't hate it. Because at first I was like, they better not try to put him with anybody other than Amy. I don't want to see it. But I actually really like the girl, which is annoying because it was messing with my emotions, because I was like, I actually like her though. But it's so, that sucks, because obviously that's not going to work out. So I was just like, well, I mean, what was the point of bringing in someone I actually am gonna like for a couple episodes and then having to dump her?
Yeah.
I don't know that there was a point in doing that. Like, I really liked her character, so at least I didn't, it wasn't like this visceral hatred of like, why would you, how dare you replace Amy? But like I said, they very easily could have just not had that storyline at all, especially since it was only like 2 episodes.
Yeah, they introduced it so late. I expected it would happen faster than that.
Yeah, it fed into this whole sort of weird, just forgetting that Amy existed for the
Hmm.
majority of the season. Like, it just didn't make a lot of sense that Jonah would be so normal and so okay with something that major happening. And the fact that he had one episode where he had a 2 minute breakdown about it, and that was pretty much it. And then it was like never really acknowledged again. And then he immediately went on to start trying to date other people. Like, first it was the black girl, and then it was this girl. And so I don't know if they're playing off like he was just in denial of his feelings or whatever, but it just seems strange that he was just so normal regarding the entire thing. I'm not surprised that they did it that way. It's not exactly a show that spends a lot of time showing more emotional depth, at least not since earlier seasons when the show was much better.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I agree with you that the show started to finally pick up momentum again. And it was starting to kind of feel a little bit more like what it used to be, which is going to be cut short anyways because we have just one more episode left. But I never fully got back into it. I never fully, like, yes, it got better, but I don't think it ever really reclaimed its former glory. Perhaps just because, like you said, they didn't really have time to. Maybe if they had started doing that earlier on, not waiting a couple episodes before the finale to finally start, I don't know, getting back into the storylines that they've neglected for a season and a half. Um, but now I also, going into the finale, I'm like, they have a lot of storylines to tie up
Yeah.
because of that, because of them coming in at the end and suddenly revisiting all of these storylines. It's like, well, now every single character has a storyline that needs to be wrapped up.
We want resolution.
Yeah, so they better do it well. Which, at least that gives me hope that the finale might actually be good.
Yeah,
Considering
and
it,
it's an
if you
hour
ask me,
long, so they're going to take some time at least to hopefully wrap things up.
yeah. So after like the first, like you said, the first half of the season, if I was fully convinced that it was just going to be a crappy finale, to be honest. But after these past couple episodes, I have hope that the finale is actually going to be a good finale, or at least a decent finale that doesn't piss you off.
Yeah. That's all we want, right? Like when it comes to TV watching, you just don't want to be angry at the end.
Which honestly is a low bar, but these days I feel like as long as you don't make me mad, whatever, and or you don't, completely change or neglect something super important, which I don't think they will do. Since, like you said, Amy's coming back, and that's mostly what people wanted, anyways. So I'm sure at least they'll wrap that up. But yeah, I mean, it was. I did like the past few episodes. They were a little bit funnier. It definitely like played with my emotions a little bit. Like I said, Jonah's storyline, and then they finally revisited the Dina Garrett storyline.
Finally.
Finally, which like should have been given more time to be properly fleshed out, but at least
Yes,
they
because we were
revisited it
teased about Dina and Garrett like right before
for
the start
so
of
long.
season 6. And we didn't get
Mhm.
them until like halfway, maybe more than halfway into the season. So they're really starting to pick that up. And I'm like, but we're at the end.
Yeah, it's like they've just started revisiting things just so they could wrap them up,
Hmm.
basically. Like it's good they're revisiting these things, but it's still not being done as well as I would like.
Hmm.
I still, like Garrett and Dina thing, like they had a lot of cute whatever banter moments and all this stuff, and that whole weird thing with her boyfriend and trying to make it a three-way relationship type thing. That was all, it was funny, it was entertaining, but I didn't like the way they portrayed Garrett's reactions to all this. Like,
Hmm.
he was also, again, way too chill about the whole thing, which didn't make sense either. Like, at first they started showing him being kind of jealous, but then they immediately dropped that and switched it to Dina being the one who's jealous, and Garrett's like, cool, whatever. Like, I'm like, what? Can you show Garrett having some emotion? It's been many, like, we're in the
Yeah,
last season.
that's the thing with Garrett because, like you said, he does actually have emotions. And it's interesting because over the course of maybe like the first four seasons, we saw him act like he's a super chill guy, but we know when he gets really bothered by something and he expresses that. Like that one time he was annoyed because that lady in the store trying to sell beer and he's like, "No, this is not actually beer," or something or other. And he got worked up over it. So I expected a little bit more with regards to the whole Dina situation. I mean, obviously I want to see her worked up over it too, but like we didn't get enough on either side and that was frustrating.
Like you said, like both of them are characters who bury their emotions for the most part, but they obviously still have them and it still comes out in certain ways. And so, they showed Dina's like jealousy starting to come out and stuff, but like in one episode, we got one episode of Dina being jealous, and then, and then there was like maybe half an episode of Garrett giving a crap about anything. And it's just like, okay, can we, like, we already know that these characters care about each other and like each other. Like, we've already established that. We don't even need all this weird back and forth. Like, show them having some emotion, please. Like, they're still normal human beings. So I don't know. I hope in the finale they do actually show Garrett letting his wall down a little bit. It's the end. Just show some amount of that, because otherwise he's just a caricature of a character that's not
Hmm.
real. And then we have Mateo Mateo's storyline with Amy's brother revisited, and them supposedly maybe getting married. Do you think that they're going to have a wedding in the finale?
I don't know that they're going to have a wedding, but I think that there could be a proposal since they started talking about potentially wanting to get married. And I actually really like that episode because it brings back the whole awkwardness with what happened with Jonah at
Oh my gosh.
Emma's quinceanera. And they were
Yeah.
Amy's parents, so that was really funny. But I do think
They
that's
also
something.
brought back Jeff as well,
Oh, yeah. Jeff. He's always
which
good for a laugh.
I always like. Yeah, he's always fun to have around. He's funny. Um,
But yeah, I do definitely think that there's going to be at least a proposal. I don't know about a wedding, but.
yeah, that's true. I was wondering when they first brought up the whole wedding thing. My first thought was whether they were going to make the finale be their wedding, and that's how Amy comes back, or why
Mm.
Amy comes back. But now it's seeming like she's coming back because the store is closing, which is a whole other thing that I'm like, wait, are they actually going to close the stores? I don't. That's definitely not a direction I was expecting at all. So I don't know if that's a misdirection or if they're actually going to do that. We'll see. But that was another playing with your emotions type thing. Where it's just like, wait, you can't just close the store. What's happened to all of these characters?
I know.
Um, Up until they revisited that, I had actually completely forgotten that Mateo was even dating Amy's brother, because
Really?
that's how long they had gone without ever mentioning it. Because I was like, oh right, that was a thing. So again, just to show how much they just dropped storylines for so long, that it was nice when that came back, and I was like, oh, yeah, I forgot that was a thing. Like Sandra's character has definitely been a lot more tolerable and enjoyable even to watch lately, which I'm glad, because sometimes they really made her character very infuriating, in just being like the butt of the joke all the time and not giving her a personality beyond that. I love the episode with Jonah. The back of the when he gets put in the back
Oh
for
yeah.
being that was a
He's
good
so
joke.
annoyed about it. I love that.
Yeah, I feel like that was a really good throwback kind of to Jonah's like initial, just his overinflated view of himself, and just that going, like you said, and when people are like revisiting the way the show started and stuff, like, it started off with him thinking that he's too good to be working in a place like that. And so to have an episode that's also basically about him thinking that he's too good to be doing these things that his coworkers have to do. And also the fact that like he thinks of himself as such a good people person.
Yeah,
uh,
that's hilarious.
really, really funny, because as I've said before, I'm all for episodes that put Jonah in his place when he needs to be put in his place. Uh,
And that's part of
which
what was missing because no one was like even poking fun of Jonah, and Jonah was so easy to poke fun of by literally everyone because they're like, who do you think you are, man? No one cares.
Yeah, that was definitely an element that after Amy left that I was very much missing from the show. So I liked that there was still an episode about that, even though Amy was not there to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to what's going to come of the storyline with suing Cloud9, but I don't know. That's a funny storyline as well. So all of these different things to basically every single character. Cheyenne is now the floor supervisor, which I love that for her. She's doing great. All these, I don't know how they're gonna wrap it up at this point. Like I thought I had an idea of what the finale was gonna be. I'm not so sure. It
Are there
seems
any
like,
like final hopes that you definitely want them to have accomplished by the end?
yeah, to wrap up every single storyline I just said. And to do it well, not just like throw it together. You brought back all these things, you better tie them up well.
Yeah.
Obviously Jonah being the primary thing, but all these other elements as well. I want to know, I guess, where these characters are going beyond the show. It's not, sort of like that whole glimpse into the future thing that some finales do. I'm not saying to do a literal glimpse into the future, because sometimes that's annoying. But just to kind of have an idea of where they're going to go, and especially if they're going to just shut down the store, which I feel like they're not going to do that, but I mean, Cheyenne has already been promoted, so at least we saw sort of where her story can go from that.
Yeah. I think she's following the Amy trajectory, which is, I'm happy for her because I think Amy's been sort of her mentor for so many years. And it's nice, like she called her at the end. So you're right, like we know where she's going. So even if Cloud9 shuts down, she has like I believe in her future.
Yeah, definitely. So I kind of just want to see that for all the other characters too. I want to see that there's more for them, and especially Jonah as well, because as I voiced before, I feel like he's someone who has no reason to even be at the superstore anymore, or to be working at any kind of store like that. He really needs to get another job. So I hope that he comes up with some sort of vision for his life that is vocalized in the finale, and Garrett and Dina get together and stop with their whole non-emotional mess and just accept their feelings for each other. And Mateo can get married, or get, like you said, or at least propose, so that way sort of everyone kind of gets their happily ever after. What about you? Final thoughts?
I always honestly just hope for the same. I think Garrett and Dina have been dancing around each other for so long. It's finally time to have some resolution, at least to have like an honest conversation about whether they want to be together, what their future might look like if they decide to actually go back on this, or get back together, especially since the whole birds debacle. They never really talked about that. And then I really do want Mateo to be happy. I think, now that he's got his ankle bracelet off and he feels like he can really move on with his life and not live in so much fear, I think that's great for him because he deserves that. And, he's found someone after all those false starts with Jeff, which is why I like that they brought him back, because then Mateo like is certain that this is who he wants to be with now, so that's like great development for him too. And so I would like to see like a proposal, or even if it's just like a quick marriage that where everyone's present, that would be very nice and lovely. Obviously, like my girl Amy's coming back, and I'm really thrilled to see like where she's been, and obviously to have, I do want her and Jonah to get back together, or at least like talk about what happened, because I feel like they really left in a place where it was super awkward, and maybe Amy's had time to think about like what it is that she does want for the future. So I feel like ultimately what I want is for Amy to come back, for her and Jonah to talk, for them to probably get back together. And I feel like at that point, maybe Jonah's future will be more solidified because, like you said, he can't spend the rest of his life there. And he's one of the characters too that hasn't really gone anywhere permanent in growth with regards to like the job. So I feel like if he does get back with Amy, maybe he moves to California, he decides he wants to like work for a union full time or something like that. That's something I want to be voiced for him. So,
Yeah.
and
And
obviously
I would
happy
say,
endings for everyone.
yeah. And not to forget Glenn as well.
Yes.
He also is given his happy ending, and make sure like, if they're shutting down that store, maybe he gets a promotion or he gets moved to another store. I like that they actually did dedicated an episode about him where it kind of showed that he's actually not as incompetent as he's kind of made out to be in the show, which I appreciated that they threw that in at the end, because of course, like, he is the butt of the joke a lot of the times. So I appreciated that they came back in the end and they were like, like, yes, we make fun a lot and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, he does know what he's doing, and he is a good manager. He's just kind of quirky. So I'm glad that they were able to kind of show that as well, so that way we can also see his growth and where he can go realistically as well. So I think they did a good job of setting that up for each character for the finale, so it shouldn't be too difficult to make all that happen. The
Yeah.
stage is set for it. So if they screw it up, honestly, then I have
We
no
don't know what to say at that point. But we will discuss it in our next video because we're going to talk about the finale and how we felt about it and all that jazz.
Yes, so I'm excited. Make sure you come back and check out that video, and we will be in our feels for the end of that show. Be sure to tune into that. Until then, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and let us know what other shows you want us to do videos about or to talk about. And we'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.
Bye.